First Maccabees?
It was First Maccabees 2
50.
and 50. I know this brother gonna have precept in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen.
When I get some.
Right? Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
Doing a little side lesson first and foremost. Want to give all praises to the Most High.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash.
Want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Want to say Shalom to all the brothers, of course the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your house. Today, man, we're going to talk briefly to you about good fame and bad fame. A lot of people want notoriety, money, and the things that come with it. All right? That's their motivation for getting up out of bed every day. And you know, fame isn't a bad thing if it's attached to something. And that thing it needs to be attached to is the Lord. You understand? We just talked briefly with the brothers before we cut the camera on. Moses' fame is good fame because it forces people to inquire of the goodness, the mercy, and the greatness and the majesty of the Lord. If you take the Most High, all right, out of Moses' story, if you take the angel, that right arm, out of that story, Moses probably gets arrested for murder in the story. And that's the same scenario if you take the Lord out of all our forefather situations. They don't have that glory and that fame and that majesty. It's only good because the Lord is attached to it. That's what gives us value. And we was talking about, what's the guy's name? I forget his name. Anton
Daniels.
Anton Daniels. He's boasting in his riches, not knowing that that's a temporary thing. And it's going to fade away. And in order to keep those riches that he got here soon, he's going to have to bend the knee to this devil. But you got your precept or whatever you got. Let me fix this camera a little bit.
But if
Yeah, yep.
Maccabees first?
Yep, and whatever you guys got.
First Maccabees 2 and 50. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
So he's giving a speech to his sons, and he's saying, be zealous for the Lord's way. Be zealous for those things, and everything else will fall in place. Because they're going to get ready to go through some trials, resisting, which is our job in this time to resist. And because we're resisting, we're going to make ourselves a prey in this world. But we need to have a particular mindset as we go through that. Not the mindset of a man that's solely trusting in his riches. All right? And where moth and rust doth corrupt, like it says in Matthew 6 chapter. You got it? Let's just read a couple examples, just a couple of our forefathers, and then jump down to 61.
Okay. Verse 51. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall ye receive great honor and everlasting name. Great honor
and an everlasting name. So fame and recognition isn't a bad thing if you're pursuing the Lord to get it. All right? If righteousness and judging righteous judgment in the forefront of your mind and fame comes with that, okay, that's good. All right? But somebody who's going about to get that notoriety and that fame and that recognition without the main ingredient, you're going to be tied into wickedness to get it. That's just the equation. You got something you want to say?
God, I got a quick one for you. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 1. It says, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth.
You have his mindset. Good. Go speak on it.
God, I'm going to read it again. Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment. And that's the thing, man. And how do you, as the priest is going into, how is that good name? All right, because when you go into that word name, it's Shem in the Hebrew, which that's one of our forefathers. All right, and the sons of God, all right, well, they obtain that good name, all right, through what? By being attached to their power, man. So whenever we're not attached to our power, then our fame, our reputation, our name is worthless. Right. You see? And so that's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. A man of the Lord that comes to mind is the prophet Daniel. All right, the angel has says that what? You are greatly beloved, right, in the heavens, man. Daniel had a good name. You see, and he wasn't worried about the reputation, all right, of how he looked in the sight of society. Right. He was worried about how he looked in the sight of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai in the host of heavens, man.
He wanted his credit to be good with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, not this devil. All right. The scriptures talk about we gotta seek to offend the Lord less. Yeah, that's your mindset, man. You're gonna be all right. I got that word fame in the Edom online, and it says this: character attributed to someone, celebrity, renown. And that word renown makes me think of our forefathers, the sons of God in Genesis. They were men of renown at one point because why? They walked in the way that the Lord gave them. But they fell from grace when they went against that way. You see, you understand? That was it. All you had on that?
Oh, that one, God, yeah.
Okay. You go back to that, and I know this brother got some more precepts. I got a few of mine as well.
First Maccabees 2:52. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness?
Yeah, he had faith. He walked in the instruction that the Lord gave him. He was willing to do something most people like, this nigga crazy.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, nigga, you tripping. First off, he just up and left his family because he heard a voice.
Right. Faith, man.
Then he was willing to put his only son, the son that was, that was a miracle, baby.
Man.
He was willing to put him to death because the Lord told him to do it. He was willing to follow instructions and walk in obedience regardless of how people viewed him. Go on.
Verse 53, Joseph in the time of distress kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt.
If the Lord isn't involved with Joseph and his story, our line is cut off. We starved to death in the wilderness. The Lord put the spirit on his brothers to sell him into captivity. He went into captivity. Somehow got raised up to second in Egypt in the world power at the time, so he could be a safe haven unto his family line.
Right.
You understand that the Lord isn't involved in your endeavors, you fail. It's short-lived. It doesn't amount to anything, special, or something that's going to be everlasting fame. Michael Jordan, if his kingdom was to continue on, 100 years from now, who knows how people will perceive him?
Yep. Yeah.
His fame on this side it's fickle.
His fame is empty.
Yeah.
You're still empty inside.
Yeah.
You're void of something because you have the spirit over you. Like the brother said, fame and the spirit, having your how about your mama shot, that's complete. If you don't have that, you're gonna have the money, but you're gonna feel empty inside,
That's what it is. You can read like one more of those examples and then jump down to 61.
Verse 54, Phineas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood.
Yep.
Jump down to verse 61. First Maccabees 2:61. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome.
So if your trust is in the Lord, you can't lose. And that's what we got to keep in mind as we get ready to go through our struggles. Because the righteous, the scriptures say, we're going to suffer straight things, but we're going to have hope for the while. These people are going, like y'all was just going into it over there. People are going through things and catching hell, but they don't even have nothing the gas in the tank to push through and keep going, because they're not looking for the kingdom of heaven to be established. We are, which allows us to move completely different and have a different level of endurance through affliction and adversity than any of these people could ever have. You understand?
Hey, because the God of this world is still dangling that carrot in Jake's face. The Lord snatched us from that. So that carrot is being dangled in Jake's face or the world face, put there with success, generational wealth, add anything you want into the carrot. That's what got the people blind and following after that. The Lord snatched us from that. Now our minds became illuminated, enlightened to what's going on, you see?
I got one for the elder one time. Proverbs 23:5. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings, and they fly away as an eagle toward heaven.
The American dream, you got it.
It's like a bar of soap, man. You try to squeeze onto it, it's gonna slip out your hand. Yep. If that's your main focus, you're gonna end up not having it at all, and it's gonna end up being empty, unfulfilled. It ain't gonna be worth it. You understand?
Yep.
Riches are not coming to a nigga. You have to have order in your life, and not just any order. The order of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You got yours.
God, this is the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, and when you go into this chapter, it speaks about some of our notable forefathers. All right, and foremothers that they obtained a good report. What's another word for report? Reputation, which goes back into name. All right, their fame. Now let's see how they obtained their fame. Hebrews, and this is going into Moses as you were speaking about earlier. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse, I'll start at verse 24.
This is the sister chapter to what we read in First Maccabees. Brother chapter. It's the brother chapter. Go ahead.
God. Hebrews 11 and 24. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
Now check that out though. Now back then, to be a ruler back then meant you had great substance. Right now, and especially here in the democracy, you don't want, people don't want to see their politicians or presidents with too much money. You know, so they got to do it back ways. They got to do it backwater ways. Back then, man, if you were second in Egypt, man, you had everything. The world was your oyster. Everything was at your access. That life didn't get better. So for him to give that up,
Right.
the nigga talking about his condo on the 17th floor.
A Porsche.
Yeah, a Porsche.
Daniel's talking about a Porsche.
Nigga, Moses had dominion over the infrastructure on how society was ran. What the fuck are you talking about? Excuse my Swahili. What the fuck are you talking about? Real riches and dominion and sovereignty. Moses had that, man. Okay? And niggas are boasting in the car they got to feel like they somebody. It's really an insecurity when you bring up carnal things to say, this is my importance, this is my worth. Look, this is equivalent to my worth. No, we understand that the only thing that makes us useful or gives us worth is our usefulness to the mission of the husband. A wife's value is tied to how well she forwards the will of her husband.
Yep.
And if you don't understand that, man, you're gonna be miserable here. That's, you know, breaking news. Simple niggas.
Hey, that's why Scripture says we have this treasure in earthen vessels. Talking about this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right, the breath from Yahweh Shema Shah inside of us. So we have the true riches. Because at the end of the day, like the priest was going into earlier, man, in order for you to keep your so-called pseudo riches on this side, that's going to ultimately cause you to be an enemy against Yahweh Shema Shah by getting that Quran, that Revelation 13 and 16, man. You know, so
it's like it. You gonna have what's the 50 Cent said this. I know you niggas, y'all like to listen to rappers. Sometimes they'll say something decent. 50 Cent said, man, if your main motivation is money and the flashy shit, you gonna do some hoe shit.
Man.
He went into it. He said, if you know, possessions is your main motivation, man, you gonna do some shit that a hoe would do. You'll bend over a desk. Your morality, it doesn't have any bounds to what you'll do to get it. And a nigga like you, if you was presented with the opportunity, man, a lot of those rappers was presented with, you'll do the same shit over some goddamn money, man. Because your God is mammon. You don't serve the God of the Bible. Go read Matthew the 6th chapter, you simple nigga. Say you believe in the scriptures, but you don't move like it. You don't talk like it either. You're just like this damn devil.
Yep.
You know? You're the father of the devil. Simple ass nigga. Goofy ass niggas, man. It's hard to even listen to them.
Yep.
Because they really think they have some kind of light or wisdom, but you have none. You're gonna have to die here and be reset in the kingdom of heaven that we're advocating for. Okay?
If I could add just real quick, you know, like, you know, Jake, you know, boasting in his money and, you know, flashing his money and got wads of, you know, fiat currency holding up to like he's talking on the phone or something.
Over there.
Like really, the reason why Jake does that is really because Jake is insecure.
Yep.
You know, because they know without that money that they know that they're just pieces of shit, man. They don't have anything that they really stand stiffly for. Yep. See, we do. That's why we're not moved by money. You know, some of us have, you know, more than others. You know, some of us have, you know, a savings account. Some of us, we ain't got too much. But at the end of the day, all right, we still understand that we're men. You know, we're men on a mission. And these particular earthly so-called riches, that doesn't predicate our value, man. Our manhood, you know?
Yep. And I'll say this as well, man. The reason we're not insecure like a lot of these people in the world is because we know who we are. We know what our purpose is. A lot of these people, they don't know who they are. They don't know what their purpose is in the world. The scriptures tell us our purpose. All right, the will of the husband, man. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. We know the Lord presented us with his knowledge. We're supposed to be out here, trying to bring it out and advocate for the kingdom of heaven, help wake up the elect, things of that nature. Okay? Your purpose is this one day, and something else the next. One of the brothers put a quote in the chat the other day. They said, a man that doesn't have purpose distracts himself with pleasure. You know? And that's what you niggas are doing. If I could just get this money, then maybe people will appreciate me. That's what it is. Think about why is somebody chasing money, a car, all right, want to look a certain way to people? Maybe they'll love me if I have this.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll appreciate me if I have this. You a bitch.
Yeah. Included. You want to be included and accepted.
Golly.
You got more on that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be appreciated, but you gotta, who should you be wanting to be appreciated by is the question. You see?
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 25. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Hamashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt.
Ooh, spiritual wealth. Spiritual. See, the wealth we're about to receive, money can't buy you. This devil's trying to achieve immortality, with raping people for their resources and his money, but he can't buy immortality. He can't buy being able to venture off into space and learn and forever do things. He can't buy, you know, he can't buy those things that we're about. Manipulation over the elements.
Right.
He can't buy spiritual power. You understand? The things that the Lord is going to give us day one, off a rip, as we're taking up into the chariots. Money, all the wealth in this world can't buy you. Our starter pack is worth more than all the riches of this world put together.
And ain't nobody balling like Solomon was.
Exactly.
You know, and why was why was he so famous? Ultimately, what made him famous? Really him praying for that which pleased the Lord.
First Kings 3 at the bottom.
Yep.
Where after he did the judge, after he did the judgment with two of his concubines, because one of them overlaid their child, and they was doing it. He said, she said, you know, picture two nigga women, they was arguing. No, this my baby. You know, the child support case. They be in there arguing.
Big time.
And yeah, that's what was going on. And everybody probably sitting in the audience, counselors sitting around listening to the argument, like, oh boy. And Solomon said this at the bottom. Go ahead.
1 Kings 3 and 28. The last verse, right?
Oh yeah, it should be like last two verses.
Okay, last two verses.
Where he said
verse
divide the baby in half.
Con. 1 Kings 3 and 24. And the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two.
So again, I'm gonna read the story real quick. Two of his wives, they were both pregnant and they both gave birth the same day. All right, and they were the only witnesses there. One of them overlaid her baby and the baby died. So she was like, oh shit. And she switched the baby.
Right.
You know, remember that this is the king's baby. Right, so her status is gonna elevate by having a living child. So this was important to them. So she switched the baby and then tried to play it off. No, this is my baby. I don't know what she's talking about.
Right.
So that was the he said, she said case. And King Solomon said this, read it again.
God. 1 Kings 3 and 25. And the king said, divide the living child into two. And give half to the one and half to the other.
Now when he said this, you know the mighty man that's with the king, they probably unsheathed the sword.
They're like, wait, but then he spoke.
He got to follow the decree. So the two women are sitting there. Now this shows the level of psychology King Solomon had. Yeah. He understood the inner workings of a person's mind.
Hey, and that wasn't the law.
Yeah.
He made a spiritual judgment.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You got to make spiritual judgments, man.
Yeah.
So keep going on in that same chapter. The point is in the last verse.
God. It says, verse 25, and the king said, divide the living child into two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman, whose the living child was, unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son.
He understood that the true mother would rather see the child live and watch him from afar than to see him die. So he knew, you know, he would be able to tell who the true mother was by making that decree. He wasn't really gonna cut the baby in half.
He said that to get a reaction.
Yeah, to get a reaction.
Let's see. Oh, okay.
The same way somebody will walk by and we'll see they got sugar in their drawers. Yeah. And we might say, hey man, the Lord gonna destroy the alphabet community. Just to get a reaction. Yep. Maybe and us making that person feel convicted might get them to repent. Or mark themselves. You know. But in the last verse on that?
Yep.
Yes.
It says, verse 26 again, then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided.
If I can't have it,
Damn.
nobody will.
Right.
But go on, he gonna make the right judgment. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof.
Right, get the last verse.
Yep, last verse. Verse 28. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment.
So the priest made the point that the reason his fame is so solidified and so big and lasted all this time throughout the ages is because his wisdom was attached to the Lord and what he asked for. At the top of that chapter, he asked not for riches, long life, or the head of his enemies, but for a wise and understanding heart so that he can judge this so great a people. And because that was his mindset, because forwarding the husband's will was his mindset, the Lord gave him all of it.
See?
That's the pathway.
Got you right here. First Kings 10 and 1. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, because that's what we've been going into is the fame, and once again, how did that fame get obtained? All right, unto Solomon, by him asking the Lord for wisdom, man. So that's where the true riches lie at. That's where the true fame and reputation comes from. It comes from Yahweh Bashmal Shah.
I think he said it. I think he had a dream. He actually in a dream.
Yeah, he actually did.
That's crazy. Yeah, right. Man.
The Lord sealed his instructions to do that.
Exactly.
You know? 1 Kings 10 and 1. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions, because she knew that he had that spirit of discernment and judgment upon him, you know, as the priest is going into.
See if it's true.
Yep, and that also, this also is another proof, right, that King Solomon is Yahweh Shah. Because when Yahweh Shah was sitting in the midst of the Pharisees and the lawyers, and you know, in Luke the 2nd chapter, you know, he was answering all their questions, man. You know, 1 Kings 10 and 2. And she came to Jerusalem